Hey guys, welcome to tonight's stream, and tonight we are carrying on looking at our dialogue for NPCs depending on their current business, shall we say. So I have set up on Event Tech something that's going to tell us what their current state is. Okay, so we can see that he is idle. Now, idle means that he is just basically wandering about. He's not going to work, he's not going to sleep, he's not hungry and wanting to eat, so he is just basically wandering around. Okay, so once we get to 10 o'clock, it should tell us or is it 9 o'clock? I think it's 9 o'clock. He should change just after 9. He's going to change and tell us that he is going to sleep, going to bed. So that's what we want. So he's going to wander over to the bed, which is over there. Now, this is the interesting part that I think is not quite working. So, at that point, he should go to sleep. Or, sorry, his enum should change here. Okay, so the thing we'll do is we're going to go to here, and we're going to add a breakpoint here. Okay, and we're going to find out what this enum state is. So he's going to wander, and that's interesting. Okay, that makes sense. That's because you changed direction, right? Which will keep him at the same thing. Because if he's wandering about, he is basically sleeping. Or sorry, idle. So that's fine. That's working as it should. Okay. So now you change direction again. And we should be getting close. Right, so now he's going to bed, okay? So he's going to wander over here. Okay, he's going to stop there, and it didn't hit that code. Okay, so whatever is going on there, right, I am guessing that this task is making him do nothing. Right, whatever is going on, this is not finishing, but it must be finishing. Okay. So what we're going to do, right, is we're going to add a decorator. In fact, at this point, right, what we're going to do we're going to add a sequence. Okay, and that sequence is going to be this. Then task sleep. And that's going to be is at location. And that's going to be bed location. Okay. And then we're going to remove that and do that. Right? So if this sets it into some other mode, right, we're basically going to do the set dialog first once we get to the actual case. Okay. So we're going to save that. Then we're going to press play. Okay, and we're going to keep our eye now. Now, if this works, which I think it will, if this works, we are going to have to do the same thing in eating and working. Okay, which is not a big deal, but it will need done. So once this gets to 9 a.m, since he's working the night shift, right, according to us, so should be changing in about 10 seconds or so. The unfortunate thing is I could change it to be like, at the moment the way it was set up, it is done with integers, so you can only set the time going to bed at basically an integer 0 to 24. Now I could change that if I wanted, but that is something that can be worked on later if necessary, a small tweak. Right, so he's going to go there and he's now sleeping. That's what we want, right? So that is exactly what we want. So all I need to do now is basically change the others. Okay, so I can delete that. I can move that. Hey Maruf, how you doing, bud? Hope you're well. Right, and what we can do here is we can move this one out the way. We can duplicate that. Oops. Now this is going to be a workplace location. UK. And we're going to close that. That's going to go there. We're going to join the sequence to there. We're going to move this out the way. And that, in fact, is going to go all together. And we are going to set our task to BT task work. Okay? And then we can join this up here. Why, thank you, Maruf. I wouldn't say I'm awesome, even though it's nice to think of yourself in such glowing praise, but I'm certainly not that. So the only one we need to do now is our eating. Okay, so it's eating location, and all we need to do is duplicate that, drag it over here a bit, click on that, eating location, disconnect that, drag this down here, and we want BT task refill hunger. That's going to go there. That's going to go there. We basically delete this, put this in here, and we can put that there, and that is us basically. Okay, just for a giggle, we'll move those up in line. We'll do the same here. That keeps things obvious and readable. And talking about readable, I'm going to make this more readable for you guys, which I obviously always forget to do. And these are just like comment boxes and stuff. So I'll just pull them down out the way a bit. And that should be us. So now, if we quickly press play. Now the whole point of this actually, right, there is a point to this, right, that when I talk to him, right, we'll let him wander our way. Right, is he will answer differently depending on what state he is in. Okay, so if he's idle, he will have a number of different dialogues to give you. If he's going to work, he'll have a different set of dialogues. If he's actually working, he will have... So the context of what the NPC's doing will determine what the answer is when he speaks to you. Right? Now, he's not going to do anything mechanically, i.e. in the game, but he will give you a sensible answer. Right? So, fundamentally, if he's going to bed, he's not going to say, I'm going to work. If he's going to work or he's working, he's not going to say, I'm going to bed. Right? Now, if he's sleeping, he's going to give you an answer that makes sense as well, which I'm hopefully going to show you, and we'll see if there's something weird going on. Right? So, if he's going to bed, so now that he's sleeping, he can talk to me, go away, can't you see I'm trying to sleep? Right? Now, for some reason, that kicks you out of what he was doing. Okay? Now, I don't know why that is at present. I'm going to have to try and work it out, what is changing because I'm talking to him. Because I don't change any of the variables that were previously in the asset. So he should really continue doing what he's doing. Right? So you should at 11 o'clock start going to work. Should start thinking about going now. There he goes. I believe that 5-second delay is still in there for some reason. Right, so he should be going to a place, and now he's at work, right? Now if I talk to him, right, for some reason it kicks him off again into idle. Right? And I don't know why. Now, the only thing I can think of is that it's one of these. Okay? So, I'm going to add a breakpoint there. And I'm going to add a breakpoint here. Okay. Now, I can remove this. And I don't know why it is resetting his. So it absolutely must be here or here, right? But I'm not sure which one. And I don't know. I know what it is. Actually, maybe not. Okay, we'll test it anyway. I think I might know what it is, or have a clue of what it is. That's setting it back to idle. Right? Hopefully it doesn't wander too far away here. Right. That's fine. I think I know why it's doing it. It's basically going to leave them in the same state. Right, so he's going to bed. Right. Now, I think it is something to do. When he goes to bed, it tells him not, he shouldn't sleep anymore. Right? And when it's not, should sleep. Right, right? Because he's going to stay that way until basically we go to idle again, right? And then he goes off for a wander again. And the important thing here is should work, right? Now when he reaches should work, that is getting set to false again, right? When we, or this is I believe what's going on, right? I didn't rate this asset. This is a market store asset, so I'm trying to get it to do, I'm trying to extend it to get it to do something we want it to do that it wasn't originally able to do. And so when we jump, out of his normal AI behavior tree, or out of the branch, right, then basically it's going to continue to do that, right? Going to work. This is the one we want, right? Because this gives us a minute to do it, right? Plus the fact that he's just about there anyway. Right, so the interesting thing here is should work is true. Okay. Now, if I talk to him, it immediately sets him back up to idle. Right? And we need to look at our should work is now false. Okay. So we need a way around this. Okay. But the thing is, why? Why is it falling back into here? Right, if it should sleep, then we should automatically back into here. Ah, no we shouldn't. It's... Right, wait a minute. We were looking at work, okay? Now, if we look at BT task work, you'll notice that should work get set to nothing. Okay? So basically the way this is working is I've not changed any of this, by the way, so the spaghetti isn't because of me, right? Alright, so that's... If the workstation is or isn't valid, we stop the animations. And he uses the interaction spot. Right. Now, it basically sets this and it waits till it basically this is set to false, right? When we reach the location. Right, so I'm expecting the same thing to happen for sleeping. Right? So make this easier. We'll remove that. Right, now the interesting thing here is going to be our should sleep, right? And that's because I'm expecting him when he gets to bed. When he gets to the bed, that's basically when it gets set to false. Should sleep makes him go to the bed. When he gets to the bed, it will turn false again. Right? And it's only when something else happens that it basically gets reset to do something else. Okay? So it should sleep, right? And I'm expecting this to go to false, this one here at the bottom right. but it didn't. Right, so let's see when this changes. Right, it's now false. Right, so that's weird. So what we're saying is, in theory, this one works different from the work one. Right? Except it doesn't. Okay, wait a minute. Is it something to do with this? Sleep end hour, sleep current hour. Hi, Simple, how you doing? Sleep end hour, sleep current hour. So the question is, what's the current hour? Right? And that's coming from here, from the controller. Right, so that's making things a bit weird, I think. So let's find out what the current hour is. Find references. Right, okay, that's fine. Right. Now, I'll tell you what. I'm going to put a comment around this. I'm going to say change to 60. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it every second. Right? And I want to see what triggers, or how fast it triggers the is sleeping thing, right? So if we go to here again, right, we've got should sleep, right? We want to see what this is doing and when. Okay. We're up at 58 seconds. Right, so we should be changing in about 5 seconds. There we go. Okay, so now our character should be going to bed. Okay. So our should sleep is still at true. It's still at true. And now it's false. And that was on the hour. Right. So just for argument's sake, right, we're going to stop this. We're going to go to our NPC. We're going to say 13. We're going to say 19. And for the sleep start hour, we're going to say there to 12, and that will give us a little bit more time to troubleshoot this. Okay. And I'm just wondering if I just do 8, if it's going to catch it in time. And yeah, it does. And there he goes, right? Now, if I go and talk to him, and then I walk away, it's setting him back to idle. Okay. Now, what I want to do is go back to the behavior tree, and I want to see if is the should sleep is getting reset. Right? So he's going to go back to the bed. Right? Now he's sleeping. And if we talk to him, and for some reason now all I can think of is that it's 12 o'clock, which it's not. And it's went to so somehow when I stop interacting with him, it's resetting something. Right? And it's not clearing everything else. Right? So if we look in here, player pawn, we're setting stuff up there, but it isn't affecting anything else. Right? So theoretically, it must be something to do with the job interaction. Okay, I'm going to have a quick break for 2 minutes. If you're enjoying the stream, hit like and subscribe. Check out the description for the links to my Discord, also my Patreon to support the channel and content, and finally my previous game on Steam. I'll be right back, guys, don't go anywhere. Okay, we're back, and I believe that it's because we are coming in here and stopping everything. Right, so when we do this and we go to task, well, let's work on sleep, right, because we're working on sleep. When we go to task sleep, right, we use the interaction spot, right? Now, we get, right, so we're not worried about that per se. Okay. Now, occupied basically means if that work spot is occupied. So if it gets within 150 of it, then it checks to find out if it's occupied again. Right? Occupied. And then we return. Now that is a function of the NPC interaction. So that's a function library. Okay. Now I'm not 100% sure what this is. What does reserved mean? Well, I think the easiest way to find that out is to find out where it's called from. Right. Okay. So I think it's sending them back here because okay, I think I get it. It's kind of difficult to debug other people's work. And this says get reserved. Right, and this is find random sandbox. Is that the only place? Right, that's weird. Right. Okay. So it's in the sandbox. It's in the interaction manager. Master. Which is this. I don't know if this is ever called. Okay, add breakpoint. There's nothing in the construction script. Right? But when a job, the way I'm thinking that this would be done would be if you reserve a job, right, you can't do it again for 30 seconds. Right? And if you do it again, you can't unreserve it for 30 seconds. Right, but the only ever time that it asks for reserved, it's whether it's a sandbox or not. Right, now I'm not 100% sure what a sandbox is. But I want to know if that ever fires. Right, so he's going to bed. Hasn't fired yet. Still hasn't fired. Hi, Rudy. Yeah, it's not quite gone up fast enough, but it's getting better. Right, I'm wondering here. Right, he keeps going back. Right, I'm going to pause it. But it keeps sending him away. Now it's saying should sleep is false. And should work is false. right? But he shouldn't, so he shouldn't be going down this track, which he's not. Right, if I run out the way, well, that's very kind of you. I know there's a few people that will disagree with you though. Right, so this is now going in here. Right. Now the interesting thing is found sandbox location. Right. Now the other interesting thing we're going to pause it again, right? Now what I want to check here is if the AI controller is getting the right thing here. Right, which it should be. So we're going to add a breakpoint there. Right, so that's true. Right, we'll add a breakpoint there. We'll disable that one. Right, we'll go resume. And we're getting 9. If I zip, what do you mean by zip? Set values bool, set values bool. This is the should work, this is the should sleep. We've got sleep starter. Sorry Rudy, I don't understand what bounce means. Jump or run away or okay. Right, let's have a look while I'm thinking about this, because I think I'm going to have to check this part. And this should not be equal to, I think I can fix this quite easily now. Right. Okay, so you've got your AI. Okay. But the thing you're really interested in is you've got your AI perception, right? Now, you've got to set up the first one to be your, obviously, your sight, right? If it's sight you're going by. Now, the interesting thing here is if you set your peripheral vision, right, that is the angle, like from that way, a cone basically in front of you, right? So basically you can set that to be bigger, okay? Then normally you just set all of these to true, okay? Detect enemies, detect neutrals, detect friendlies, set them all to true, okay? Now, this is the other thing, the maximum age. Specifies the age limit after stimuli generated becomes forgotten, right? So I believe this is in seconds, okay? So if an AI perceives you and you set this to 5, it doesn't matter if the player goes out of sight at that for 5 seconds, right? If the player even goes out of sight, jumps up, goes round the corner, blah blah blah, the AI will still know where the player is. It will still keep the perception, right? So if this is set to 0, right, and your character jumps up the way away from the AI, right? If this is set to 0, then immediately, if it's only done with sight and you jump out of sight or you run around the corner, it'll immediately stop perceiving the player, which means that if you're telling it to chase the player, it won't know who to chase, right? Because it'll no longer have a target, okay? So your two things here are your maximum age, right? You want to hang on for a couple of seconds before you say, okay, you know, he's gone, the player's gone, I don't know where he is. Now, this is what happens when, like, you see reviews of games and it says, you know, the player, as soon as you walk behind a door, the AI basically forgets completely where you are, even though he's 3 steps behind, right? If you set the maximum age to higher than that, to like 5 seconds, then the AI is going to go in through the door, right? Because it doesn't lose perception just because you've went through a door or you've went out of sight, right? It's only once you've been out of sight for the max age time that you'll then lose perception, okay? So that's a big one. I don't know why this one is set to 0, but hey ho, I didn't set this up. And your other one is your sight radius and your lose sight radius, okay? So it might be that you're coming in and you're triggering it, but as soon as you jump, that takes you back out of that distance, right? So you could try setting the height of this or the value of this higher, okay? Then obviously you've got your peripheral vision angle, right? As I said, that's your cone of vision, okay, going up like that and going out like that. You could set that higher. make sure that all of these are set to true, and then do your max angle. Sorry, your max edge. And hopefully that'll help you. Okay. And we should go sleep end hour. You're welcome, Rudy. You're welcome. Always willing to answer a question if somebody's having a problem. So we say greater than or equal to that, and less than or equal to that, right, we probably want to do it this way around. Right, so we're going to do that, then we're going to do that, and then that's going to go in there, and then that's going to go in there. Okay, we'll move this in a bit, tidy this up a bit, hopefully. Drag that out, drag that, oops, didn't mean to do that, never mind. Okay. And that's an and boolean, and that's going to go to there, and that's going to go to there, right? Hi Maruf. Again, I believe you were here earlier. Yeah. Okay, so if these are both true, if we're greater than or equal to the start hour and less than or equal to the end hour, we're still in sleep time, okay? So if you imagine if we sleep between 9 and 11, as long as we are greater than or equal to 9 and less than or equal to 11, then we're going to set our sleep to true. I don't know about being an inspiration to anybody, but hopefully at least a little bit of help sometimes. We're going to have to do the same for the start shift hour and start shift end, but we're going to test it first on the should sleep. Okay. Right, so we're going to put a breakpoint here, resume, right, and this should be true. Okay, so if we step over right? This should be true. This value should be 9, or sorry, 8. That's true, that's true. Both of these are true, so we should set this value. That is correct. Okay. Now, what we're going to have to do is disable that. And disable this. Right. Now he's sleeping, as you can see. So it is going to idle again, go to sleep. Now it is going to bed, but for some reason, actually I know why it is. It's that 5-second thing. It's that 5-second delay. Okay. Now, it's not letting us sleep for whatever reason. We want to check. It's got should sleep. Right. But the thing is, we want to see what this is doing. Okay, okay. I think on result change both. Right. Now, right, that's on result change. that's okay. I'm just wondering if this lower priority. And the other thing I don't like in here is this freaking delay. I don't know why it's there. I don't think it needs to be there. If this doesn't work, I'm going to switch it back. Right, our dude's sleeping, right? Now at this point he's still sleeping. But it's going ballistic. There's some setting somewhere where he is being told right, see if I do this, right, it's set to true, it's setting it to false, true, false, false. So there's something setting this to false. There's something setting should sleep to false. And I don't know what it is. Right? And I can only think that it's this here. Right? So our dude's going to bed. He's going to sleeping. He's still sleeping. Right? And there it is. Right? Now, that is basically if it fails. So, the next thing we need to check is the logic here. If we've used the interaction spot, Now, what we probably want to do here is add a breakpoint. Now, what does that success mean? If that is false, well, it still goes straight in there. So our only thing now is this delay thing for some reason, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to see and that's going to take us straight to false. So it's whatever this use interaction spot does. And if that sets up straight away, that gives us a problem, right? And I'm guessing it's because the use interaction spot is actually occupied or something, right? Right, so if it's either A, occupied, and that is the only thing that can be passing us that straight back, okay? Now, also, if we look back here, or was it? No, it's in here. Let's have a look. So, we hit the task sleep. If it's occupied, it's doing that stuff. Right, so either way, is there a success where we don't set this to false? Is the question. Right, so once we've run that once, right, it's not going to go in here, right? If the sleep end hour equals that hour, that's going to equal false, so that's not going to get in there. So the only reason this is doing this is because it's occupied, right? It thinks it's occupied, okay? Which it is because it's occupied by me or the NPC, but we shouldn't really check for occupied, okay? We should only check for occupied or we should change the occupied to an NPC, right? And if the NPC is the occupier, then we don't do this, right? we return, basically, it's okay to use that space because you're the guy that's already using it, right? The way this is working is the fact that if you get up and leave a table for eating, right? If you're going to eat something and there's a table there for you, if you get up and leave that early, right? There's a certain amount of time that this becomes reserved. Okay? Basically until the person stops eating or the person stops sleeping. Let's say in a bed, right? So fundamentally, this is getting refired continually until this happens, right? And again, we should change this, right? Because you can talk to people while they're working, etc. This is going to have to be done in the working one and in the eating one, right? And we're going to have to get the time here. But fundamentally, this occupied thing is the problem, okay? Because that's sending us straight to here. Okay, so what I'm going to do in the meantime is basically I'm going to bypass this. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to drag this down out the way for a second. I could have put this back in and said occupied true or false. In fact, that's what I'll do, just to leave the code the same. But basically what we want to do here is, rather than have occupied, right, what we actually want to do, and I don't know if we can do it here because it's a function library, right? Well, it would take a bit more work, but I mean, it's not impossible. But we're not going to go for that solution yet. Right, so if it's occupied, if it's true, we're going to do it. And if it's false, we're going to do it. Right? So now, if we press play, he's going to go to bed. Right? We're going to disable that. He's going to stand there, which is fine. Then we're going to talk to him. And there we go. He goes back to sleep. Okay. So it was because we'd already occupied that spot. Okay. Now, the interesting thing here we want to do, right, is we're just going to set his sleep time between 8 and 9. Press play. Now we're going to run up to him. We're going to talk to him. We're going to walk away again. Okay, and then once it gets to 9 o'clock, he should start going about his business again. And if he does, we're going to call that a win. And then I can go about fixing the working one and the other one. Okay, so hopefully he's going to do something soon. It ain't going to take 5 seconds to do it. Right, so it's doing something. And off he goes. And it's going to finish that one off, but that's not going to make any difference now. Except it is making a difference. Because there's something still setting this to make him go to bed. And I can only think that it's this here, which it is. Right? Eight, 9. Ah, wait a minute. This one shouldn't be equal to, it should be less than. Right, so that should be less than. Now the reason it was going mad there was because it was trying to wake him up all the time. It was waking him up, sending him to sleep, etc, etc. Okay. Let's try that one more time, shall we? Right, so he is off to sleep. He is sleeping. Talk, go away, can't you see I'm trying to sleep? Goes back sleeping again. We have to wait for a second or two. Okay, so we'll get there in the end. And there he goes. Okay, so that's working. And I think I'm going to call it there. That's a good place to stop, right? So we're going to leave it at that. If you've enjoyed the stream, hit like and subscribe. Thank you guys for the questions earlier on and the encouraging words, Maruf and Rudy, for the good questions. So if you'd like to hit like, subscribe, check out the description for my Discord where I usually hang out when I'm not streaming, and also my Patreon where you can support the channel for a couple of bucks, and finally my previous game on Steam, which is a tower defense game. So thank you all for watching. I hope to see you again. I'll be back tomorrow 2 PM Central. Bye bye for now.